Well, a male space, this will be what, the fourth installment of a male space coming on my channel, talking about men's issues. Are men too sheltered? Talking about father issues. Are fathers training up their sons well, and how maybe a father can do better at that. And then we'll talk a little more about what attracts a good woman into your life, how to do that, and the importance of men having friendships. Man, we got an epidemic of lonely men out there. What should we do about that? Anyway, let's get to it.
I think that I grew up sheltered in a way. I think that sometimes city people grow up sheltered in some ways and
Mm.
not sheltered in other ways. Meaning, I did not come up. I did not have a dad, and that's partly why I'm in these spaces because that the fatherless crisis concerns me, and the way that I raised my son is particularly important to me because I had no dad. He
Yeah.
was very negligent and also extremely mentally ill. So I mean,
Mm.
and my parents got divorced when I was 13 years old, and even
Mm.
before that, it really was not the way that it was supposed to be. Anyway, the father children dynamic was really just I don't even know if it was ever there properly, so I can't even
Okay.
recall it.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons that brought me here. But I mean, I think that also from growing up in a very socioeconomically diverse and also permissive environment, I mean that it wasn't good to be have a permissive environment, but it gave me the feel of where I could tell that this person is no good and this
Mm.
is not because of the permissiveness there. These all these awful behaviors of young people came out that I could really read someone. I mean, I've met every socioeconomic strata. Uh,
Oh.
I've met men who have served time in prison. I have met women who have. I know they call these body counts these days, but I've met all kinds of people with all kinds of histories. Do you
Yeah.
think some of these men maybe are sheltered to a degree?
Yeah. Yeah. I think so, especially now with on everything's online. And I think these younger men, they're sitting behind screens for half their life, and so that's got to shelter you to some extent. And then the only engagement you've had with the outside world is like arguing with people on Twitter and whatever else, and so yeah, I think people are more sheltered now. Even when you go to public, if you go to public school, I mean, everything is anti-bullying and everything is, which bullying is bad. Um, but sometimes it just gets to be so mamby-pamby that nobody can say anything real to anybody else because then, oh, we're getting bullied here or whatever. And you go to your school talking about just a male space. You go to school, it's like 90% female. I know, like the school that my kids go to, I, I don't even know if I can name a male there besides, let's see, there's like an eighth grade teacher and then the high school principal. No, that's not a male anymore. The superintendent's a male. That's about the only two I can name. Like, there's probably more in there, but that's the only two that even come to mind. Like, they got like two in the whole school there. So, I think it's pretty. It's everything's done in the female way. It seems like in the those kind of spheres.
Right. Well, exactly. I mean, we are brought up under the leadership of women from, I think, well, maybe 5 years old till 20 something years old. I mean, the majority of teachers are women. So we are,
Mm.
and a lot of, even father having homes, I do know that some of them have a matriarchal flavor also. I mean, that it's not just fatherless homes, there also are matriarchal households as well, where the father is physically there, but
Mm.
he might not be the fatherly authority per se. So
Yeah.
I think that's a problem also.
Well, and that's because a father practically has no authority. Like, if and how can you figure that out? Well, just try to exercise your authority in your home, and you'll figure out real soon who has authority in your home, right?
Right.
Like,
I think if you get the right wife, that
she'll give you authority, but is that authority really? If it's like given to you, then is that real authority? Or
you're
you
right.
know what I'm saying?
Well, I do believe that there are some women who want not someone. I don't think that, I think there are women out there, for example, who don't. Excuse me. There are women who want the guy to take charge, meaning that not asking for the authority to act on the authority, but
Yeah.
that is a woman that has to be found, pretty much. So,
Yeah, they're getting rarer in 2025. They're getting harder and harder to find. Although maybe I mean, Proverbs 21 talks about the wife of noble character. And, the first couple verses, it says she's rarer than rubies. So maybe it's always been that way. This wife of noble character.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But do you think that in regards to being sheltered, do you think that some maybe younger men, again, I don't know the younger men, maybe you have an opinion, maybe you know more younger men, that they have become also lazy with correcting their course of life? Because okay, we could say there are no more male spaces. The Boy Scouts, there are no more gentlemen's clubs, so to speak, which we had one time. And the gentlemen's clubs were not strip joints; they were actually gentlemen's clubs. We don't
Yeah,
have
like
that.
the Elf Lodge and that kind
Yes, all
of
that. Yes,
yeah.
but for example, do you think that some men are simply lazy with this? I don't know if they are, but I mean, even if we don't have these formalized male spaces, at
Mm.
this point, no one is stopping men from having an informal male space. Or
Yeah, I think the biggest male space that of the young men is online video game playing. I think that's where young men gather
yeah,
right now is they're online playing the game, talking to each other, chatting while they're playing the game, that kind of stuff. I think that has substituted for people actually getting together at the Elk Lodge like they would have done 100 years ago or whatever, right? Like I think they're still getting together, it's just in a different way. I don't know if that's the healthiest way to get together because you're conquering online worlds together, which mean nothing. It's just fake conquering of something. Um, it's like I was reading one book. Let's see. It's Good to Be a Man. It's a pretty good book.
yeah,
Uh, and he talks about how today with young men we have uh, in Genesis it talks about being fruitful, multiplying, subduing the earth, taking dominion. So he says the average young man now has fake dominion because he plays video games, and he has fake fruitfulness because he's addicted to online pornography. So we have just a fake world that we're engaging in right now.
well, no, I agree. I agree with what you're saying because when I was younger, we had to go to the park, and in the '90s, well, the park was
Mm.
filled with boys, filled with girls, filled with even both sexes, just mobs of us
Yeah,
in the open, and you could simply
yeah,
find
that's
these
a
now.
good point. Yeah.
So I mean, I don't see. I mean, I have close friends that I know since 8 years old. Like one of my best friends, I no, two of my closest friends I speak to almost daily. I know this is 8 years old, and I'm 46 now. I know
Wow.
another
Okay.
friend that I speak to all the time. I met him at 17 years old. Uh, yeah, so I have very long friendships going on here. Another friend I actually met when I was 12, and I still get together with him. I'm going to see him on in mid-August. We're getting together.
Mm.
So, I mean, I don't know if even men can relate to these sorts of friendships anymore, where they have this long history of
Mm.
all
Yeah.
this shared history of down times, up times, joyous times, sad times, challenges that they shared with each other, funny stories that they can recall. I mean, I have stories, kind of like gossipy stories with my friends that I to this day, no matter how many times they're repeated, I am still cracking up over stories that we've experienced over and over and over again. And I do not know if young men have it these days. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it's
I
yeah,
don't know either. Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. I think it's even worse for young women, though. I think they have it even worse. But anyway, yeah.
yeah, no, that is a concern also. Uh, that yeah, but I believe my suggestion, and also maybe some young men don't want to hear what an old guy says, is that no one is stopping anyone from getting together now. No one is stopping anybody from going to martial arts classes together. No one's stopping anybody from doing, running a few miles together. No one's stopping you from going to the beach with your buddies, hunting, fishing, etc. Wherever you are. I mean, we didn't do hunting and fishing where I was when I was in Queens, but no
Yeah.
one's stopping men from doing this. No one's stopping men from buying motorcycles and forming a club or joining a club that's already established. I mean,
Yeah. Hey,
there are
you know
still,
who's stopping men from doing these things, but like the young men? Their
I
mothers.
don't,
Their
okay,
mothers are.
but I'm going to say this. I don't like talking too much about what attracts women. I mean, we went over that because it's very important, but I'm also not someone like some of these like online influencers where they want to have 2 or 3 hour conversations of what women want, and we're going to dissect the crap of what women want for 2 to 3 hours. Like,
Yeah.
so,
And half the time women don't know what they want anyway.
exactly, right, exactly. So to me, it's this status, social adjustment, friends. It could be looks, money, whatever, ambition, certain talent, some guy is skilled in music or some other type of art. That's it. We don't have to discuss this anymore. That's it. And you
Yeah.
and you might not even be an interesting guy. Well, I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm saying not the most exciting guy.
Yeah.
And just by having friends and being friendly and some other good qualities about you, you can find a woman still, even if you're not the most thrilling guy. I don't mean that
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned it too, having status. That's an important thing for a lot of women is having status. But status isn't, that comes in different realms. Like you can have spiritual status, like in your church sphere, you can have status among like religious status, right? Or then at your workplace, there's status there. Now that's probably harder to get. Um, where's another status? Probably in like the sports type of realm. There's
Yes,
like
right.
status there, like athletic type of status. So there's different places of status. Then, so
Yes,
if I was advising a young man and said, I just can't find any women, blah, 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 I'd say, well, probably look for one place where you can try to gain status.
right.
And that will be attractive to some women. So probably a place where there's women too. Like if it's at your online gamer convention, you may not have a lot of women in that. Maybe try to go for a place where you can gain stats where there is a bunch of women. But anyway, yeah.
Right. No, I agree with you because also if you're not attached to anything and you do not have, let's say, a crew of men, I don't know what you want to call it, a posse, a clique, whatever, well, then you can't have status. You can't have status
Mhm.
by yourself per se. I'm not saying you have to be attached to your friends all the time, but if you have no connection to society or any group,
Yeah.
you are status free. And
Mhm.
uh, from my experience, maybe I'm biased from my upbringing, that women are the women that I've known are were very attracted to men who are. I would say they liked groups of men that were very tight with each other, that were physically imposing, so to speak, or intimidating. Where I grew up,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not saying that men should be like that per se, but that is a big attraction trigger to be with other men that are physical. So, like I
Yeah.
was saying before, with the martial arts thing or bodybuilding or whatever. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, I'd say
so
that's true. But I still like, I don't, I still don't think that women need men for protection
yes,
anymore. So, it may be like this is kind of a turn on, but I would still say in those things like martial arts, probably more of the turn on, like I used to box, more of the turn on is get in the ring and fight somebody, not
yes,
just like, yeah, I'm a boxer, look at my body or whatever, right? Like it's the competition that's probably the attractive thing. Like, yeah, this guy's going to get in here and he's going to sweat and try not to lose, because that doesn't look very attractive if you lose, but at least you're in there.
I understand. Yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah. And now that we're on, to move along, I want to touch upon something else here, also in relation to the male friendships. Is that you, maybe you could educate me a little bit on this. You mentioned here
Oh,
David
yeah.
and Jonathan in the Bible in regards to friendships, along with Joshua, Caleb, Moses, and Aaron. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. So where I was going with that is I just taught on this in at my church this past Sunday about it seems like today if a man has a really close, let's say a married man who has children, maybe not a single guy that might have, but a married man who has children, I just find it over and over and over and over again the male loneliness epidemic where he has a lot of acquaintances, but he just has very few friends, like true friends that he can talk to about like real stuff, not just like surface level. Hey, the Bears won the football game this weekend or whatever, but like someone he can sit down and talk to about real things. There's very few. Like I was just on a work trip and I was talking to a man where I went that he's got 3 kids. He's about my same age, goes to church every week. And I said, hey, let me ask you a question because I was preparing for teaching this at church. And I was like, do you have any close male friends where you can really like share like real stuff? And he's like, no. And I
yes,
think that's the norm today. So in my lesson, I was saying like this shouldn't be the norm. This should be freakish. This should be people should look at this. It should be looked at as a loneliness epidemic that like men should have friends, like not 100 friends, but they should have a couple close friends. This should be the norm. This should be encouraged by our wives or our mothers or whoever. I don't know. But, and so I gave the example of David and Jonathan had this amazing friendship in scripture. And I said, like, this shouldn't be freakish that men have a friendship like this should be looked at as normative. If you look in scripture at David and Jonathan and the type of friendship they had, I said, like Joshua had Caleb, Moses had Aaron, Daniel had Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The Apostle Paul, he had Silas or he had Barnabas. There was Peter, James, and John. It's like every major Bible character has another sidekick with him. It's just like this is normative, and if you don't have that, then there's something wrong. Like you should pursue that. And I was listening to the guy who wrote No More Mr. Nice Guy. Uh, shoot, yes, Robert Glover. And he says, in his male groups that he has a lot of them, like I think he used to be a Christian counselor. And I think he kind of, walked away from that or whatever, but which is too bad. But he says in his male groups now, he says it's like a lot of the guys, he can't get them out. They're married, they have family, and he can't hardly get them out of the house because they feel like they have to get a hall pass from their wife. Like, oh, you need to be here helping with dinner, taking care of the kids, giving baths, changing diapers, whatever. Right. And it's like, man. And so my encouragement then last Sunday was like, wives, you need to, like, once a week, that should be normative that, okay, my husband needs to go. And they're like, a lot of wives are like, well, you've been at work all day. You've been hanging with your boys at work, blah, blah. No, you haven't. Like with our integrated work environments where it's all male, female, and we're all together, but like that, there's no camaraderie at work anymore. Like, well, come on. Like I don't believe there is anyway. Maybe you've got it at your workplace. I don't know, but like, yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally see what you're saying. I personally, I'm not trying to brag here. I do not understand that. I do not understand the hall pass. I make plans with my friends regularly.
Yeah.
So and also my wife wants me to hang out with my friends. There are times where I go for whatever obligations, we have, that's all the summertime or, the summertime, there's all these kids' birthday parties where, a barbecue, then there's July 4th, then there's the Labor Day weekend, then there's this. And then, after a while, I'm like, I'm going to have my friends. She's like, good, go. You haven't seen your friend in a while. I'm like, I'm going to see him. I'm saying there's no,
I think you are the exception to the rule. Cause like most guys I know, and then just what I listen to online and stuff, like, yes, I think you very much are the exception to the rule.
Oh, okay. All right. Because
yeah.
And also if I want to have an, I'm not lying here, an hour to 90-minute phone call with my friend, I'm not saying I'm going to do when I have obligations for my kids and I got to teach my, let's say, help out with educating my kids or taking care of them or going somewhere with them. If I'm not involved in that, I want to talk to my friend for an hour or 90 minutes, I'm doing that. So,
yeah. Well, and that's probably a real conversation too. If you're talking to your friend for an hour, you're talking about real stuff that really matters. And that's actually what I told when I was teaching at church. That's what I thought. I said, hey, if you don't talk to another man and have a real conversation once a week, something's wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
That's freakish. If you don't have a real conversation at least once a week, something's wrong. And it was probably like the guys I was looking at, the guys they were just like they
yeah, but
they couldn't believe it.
Right. Yeah, but it's not just at this age. I mean, I remember even being a teenager and like maybe some of this was wasteful. I mean, like even just acting like a goofball on the phone with my friends. Even when I was younger, my 20s, teens, like maybe not like the kind of intellectual conversations I have now, but I mean, from my friends all the time. If we were not at the park and it was cold out in the winter, we would talk about like just dumb stuff on the phone, like because we liked each other's company. You know what I'm saying? So that's the whole thing. And actually, it's good that you brought up. Do like his book, No More Mr. Nice Guy. And I actually did converse with him actually in the early aughts. Actually, I did converse with him a few times actually. So I like his work. I recommend his book to young people as well. Yeah, it's really good. And some of the videos that he's put out in the past few years, it's great. I think he has like an online support forum that people could join for a very inexpensive fee. And so our last thing here is that there's been a lot of talk about men's rights. And I mean, Devlin and Baskerville, they're not so much into, let's say, men and I might be misinterpreting them here where I'm going with it, to try to explain it in the best way I can, that men should not be focused on rights, but they should be focused on their duties. And I don't mean the trad con thing where you become a workhorse and you have the sourdough baking wife at home. I'm saying that I think I
Yeah,
mean
you
like
retire your wife
yes,
to
exactly, yeah,
a life of leisure.
yes,
She
correct,
becomes a woman of leisure,
yes, but
and yeah, I just
yeah,
I like Shaw's work, and I just that just grates against me with, and I just it's like it's also like the red pill stuff. Like once you see it, you can't unsee it.
yeah,
With like
oh yeah, yeah,
all these stay at home moms that are just
yeah,
literally doing nothing all
yeah,
day,
yeah,
and
yeah.
anyway, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that also like I think that what they mean by men's duties is that, and I want to wrap this up with the final topic here is that, I mean, I think at this point, I mean, I'm concerned why I make these videos, is because I'm concerned about men, but I'm also hence my name of my channel is Male Space.
Mm,
On Male Space is that I'm concerned about our civilization and society generally speaking. I
yeah.
mean, if the next generation is not going to hold this up, I
Mm.
mean, after we're
And they're
past,
not. I don't think they are. Like every indication says they're not going to hold this up. So yeah,
but I mean, but men, okay, but I see a lot of like complaining online. A lot of the complaining is valid. I'm not going to say the complaints are not valid. I'm not like a boomer or a track on to say shut up, man up. You should because a lot of the track on stuff also what I like about the track on stuff is that they talk in. I know it's funny, right? But they
yeah,
talk they talk in a way. I think maybe the boomer and or track cons they talk in a way that simply ignores the environment of the current day, meaning that marry well how does a man marry in this environment with all that we've been talking about for the hour and a half that we've been talking about with
mm,
the family courts, the behavior of both men and young men and women, the dating apps, the pretty much kind of like not even a normal hypergamy because hypergamy is pretty much regular and normal, but I mean we're talking about like narcissistic hypergamy,
yeah,
malignant hypergamy, which is not have anything to do with survival.
yeah.
Normal baseline hypergamy actually is an evolutionary type of survival instinct. The hypergamy we have now, I don't even consider hypergamy. It's simply to me narcissism and
Mm,
delusion.
yeah,
It's not a
yeah,
normal level of hypergamy.
yeah. Drizzle, drizzle.
Yes, yes, exactly. But what I'm saying is that how could a tricon say this or a boomer say this? Say, man up. Well, man up. I'm being discriminated here. I'm being badmouthed in the media. I'm the enemy here. I'm a young man. I'm the enemy. And you want me to do this? You want me to go and marry under the current legal system of the way that this is going here? And I'm not, the state's gonna be my kid's daddy. No thanks. Yeah, or I'm gonna work so that I a young man's going to work to have no wife, but he's going to be like funding. He's going to be funding the activities of women that have single mothers that have kids, but he's not going to get any reward of the society. And then the
That's a
tricons,
good point.
yeah, the
Yeah,
tri the tricons, the
yeah. You're
tricons and
still going to
boomers,
fund it. Yeah,
yeah, the tricons and boomers are going to be like, well, man up, try harder, try harder. How do I get hired? I
yeah.
have
And the funny thing is about that too. A lot of these track cons that we're talking about, their job is to entertain people online.
yes,
That
exactly,
like Pearl points that out on some of these guys. Like you're man up, bro. And it's like your job is just to talk online.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I probably a lot of these guys probably never worked a construction job in their life, and it's like,
exactly.
man up and get
Yeah,
out there. It's like,
right, right, right. And I even saw some tradcons. I don't want to go fear too off far here because we're going to wrap this up on my final note here. Where I'm going with this is that I
mm,
remember seeing some tradcons talking. It was like a group chat with three or four of them, and one of them was talking about this viral video. It made the rounds on social media of this woman who really liked doing manual labor. She was building a house, whether she was building a house with her family or building a house because that was part of her job, I don't know. But she appeared to be very skilled with her hands and doing the job that maybe some men can't even do, right? And they said,
oh,
they said, this is not right. Women should not be doing manual labor. Women should not be lifting anything. They said something like that. I'm not kidding you. That what do we do? We're going to have these. We're going to have women that can't exercise their talents. We're just women who are just lying around on Instagram making bread and not even cooking full meals. I mean, what this is ridiculous. I mean, my wife, my father-in-law, I'm not a manual laborer, but my father-in-law is a carpenter. My wife knows more. a lot about manual labor from my father-in-law. Not only he's a carpenter, he knows a little bit about. He's like kind of like a jack of all trades, although his specialty is carpentry. So he knows a little bit of plumbing, a little bit of electrical work. So she knows a lot for him. So what am I going to say? Hey, wife, don't pick up a hammer. Don't hammer that nail out there. Don't garden. Stop that gardening habit of yours. Just lie around. And my wife also does a large part in homeschooling our kids. So
Okay, man.
my wife works most days of the week, not all of them, but the rest of the days that she's not working, she's still working. You know what I'm saying? Working
Yeah.
on the house, working with in educating the kids. So the whole
Yeah.
triathlon thing is it's like a fairy tale of some sorts. But I mean, if we're not going to try to disseminate this information for men improving their lot in this time and men not banding together and uniting, well, then where is this civilization going to go?
Yeah. No, and I agree. Like the older men, I have no faith that the boomers are going to do anything, but the probably the next gen and the younger or the older millennials. I'm an older millennial.
Yeah,
We're going to have to get this turned around, because and I believe we will get it turned around because Christ is winning, the church will prevail. But and that's part of the point of my channel too, is like, as far as like the marriage and family thing, for society to get turned around and for the church to prevail, we got to get this corrected. Like this, and it's all through the church as well. This crazy talk about egalitarian whatever and all that stuff. So we got to get that turned around, and I think it's going to be up to the younger generation to get it turned around because the boomers, they're just. I mean, you can't.
yeah,
I was to the guys in my men's Bible study. I'm just like, man, when I talk to boomers, it's like they just cannot see like these types of issues where it's just like it doesn't register in their
yeah,
brain.
yeah.
It's like what they just can't see it when we
Right.
talk about these type of issues.
Yeah. I think that boomers have that problem. I think that my some people in my family also like some of them like my mom and my uncle, they kind of not cynical in a bad way, but they are kind of cynical to a degree. So they can see problems when they're there. They're not, what I'm saying? If you're cynical to a degree, you can see the problems when you're there. They're not having these blinders on. So
Mm.
I think it takes some boomers, they're not all blind, by the way. Some of the boomers do realize what is going on here with the fertility crisis, uh,
Oh yeah,
the
yeah.
marriage situation, the dating situation, what's out there on the dating
Mm.
market. The I think I said home costs. They understand everything. So,
Yeah.
but then some of these tricons say, "Well, marry up and have all these children." Well, what about the young man who can't even afford a home now? Where is he going to house all these kids? How is he going to do
Yeah.
this?
Well, and like Shaw's saying, maybe these boomers that reap the benefits of like 50 years of awesome economic times, maybe they should help fund their children's house or whatever. That, oh, no, 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 no. I need to fund my second house in Florida and blah, blah, blah. Like it's time for me to live for me
Yeah,
now because I put my time in, blah, blah, blah.
I have the same idea also because I guess people could call this spoiled. I mean, my family helped me financially too. I mean, they
Yeah.
gifted me money, so
Okay.
they were very generous in that point, and they still also do both sides of the family do. Even though we live a very nice middle class lifestyle, I mean, I make more than the average salary. I'm not rich, but I do make more than the average.
Hmm.
Both families are still heavily involved.
Okay. Yeah.
But I realize that many people do not
But
have
that's
that.
traditional too.
Yeah,
Like
that is actually yes.
the system we have now is not traditional. Like that is traditional. The family helping their children and blah blah blah. Like,
Yeah, all that.
well, again, that was a male space coming on the channel talking about some of the men's issues. Good stuff. Really, really enjoyed having him on. We got to get it turned around. We got to get men doing better in our society, and we will get them doing better because Christ is winning. He is building his church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. Until next time, this is the Post Millennial Man.